front of the leaders of many nuclear-armed countries, the President of the United States boldly pressed the nuclear launch button. In the next moment, tens of thousands of nuclear missiles surged out, slowly but steadily heading towards various parts of the world at superluminal speed. Faced with this unprecedented declaration of war, the leaders of the countries present were so scared that some of them wet their pants. In a bid to stop the U.S. president from ruling the world, the fighting nations and the major powers of the East immediately made their stance known. Without hesitation, they pressed the nuclear launch switches for a counterattack. Seeing this, the presidents of other smaller countries swiftly followed suit, launching their own limited nuclear arsenal. In just a few minutes, the nuclear missiles launched by various countries gathered in the sky above the Earth, appearing like a myriad of stars. Witnessing this unprecedented spectacle, the leaders present were visibly nervous, knowing that any slight mishap could lead to the direct destruction of the Earth, resulting in the death of all mankind. However, the U.S. president, seemingly unfazed, sat back in his chair and started playing Angry Birds. This infuriated the Secretary General of the United Nations, who couldn't help but unleash a barrage of curses. Just when they thought that no one could escape this catastrophe, the U.S. president once again surprised everyone by directly activating the self-destruct system of the nuclear weapons. This startled everyone yet again. In order not to become eternal sinners in history, they had no choice but to reluctantly activate the self-destruct systems of their respective nuclear weapons.
Welcome to a nuclear-free world.
After all the nuclear weapons were destroyed, the U.S. president brought out an even more terrifying weapon. He then pressed the launch button, and a 1,000-ton nuclear warhead shot out, a tungsten nuclear missile at the capital of the United Kingdom, instantly turning London into rubble. The presidents of the various countries present were shocked and dumbfounded. Little did they know that the President of the United States before them was actually Andy in disguise. And Johnson had long been aware of everything. It turned out that 2 years ago, as the commander of a special forces unit, Johnson led his team to stand country to steal their nuclear weapons. With seamless coordination among his teammates and aid of high-tech equipment, they swiftly seized the enemy's nuclear arsenal. Later, when they reached their rendezvous point and waited for the extraction team, they were ambushed by the very support they were expecting. Caught off guard, Johnson's teammates fell one by one to enemy bullets, while Johnson, the protagonist, managed to escape with 2 teammates and hide in a deep well. The following morning, the President of the United States held a press conference on television, accusing the special forces of betraying the United States and claiming that their actions were unrelated to the country. He also falsely accused the special forces Roman of the assassination of the President of Stan Country, insisting that Roman must be captured and brought back to the United States for trial. Seizing this opportunity, the President announced the convening of a United Nations conference to discuss the storage locations of nuclear weapons. After the press conference, Andy arrived at an underground base where the real president was held captive. He then resorted to torture to extract the location of the imprisoned scientist from the president. Surprisingly, after resisting for a full 2 minutes, the president obediently disclosed the location to Andy. Andy swiftly sent his subordinate, Tae-ji, to impersonate Roman and then pretend to capture Roman and send him to prison. After the prison guards left, Tae-ji's accomplices outside released thousands of fireflies, which flew into the prison. Upon seeing the fireflies enter, Tae-ji pretended to be dead. When the prison staff rushed to check, in the next second, Tae-ji emerged from his feigned death and engaged in a fierce battle with the prison guards. Meanwhile, their allies outside rode motorcycles straight towards the prison, which soon disintegrated into bombs, destroying the prison gates. Before long, Tae-ji successfully rescued the scientist from inside and, with the help of a helicopter, made a successful getaway. On the other side, after a long journey, Johnson finally returned home and, with a few teammates, began to investigate the perpetrators of the previous attack on them. Through relentless efforts, they ultimately concluded that only the president had the authority to use those weapons. They thus initiated a secret investigation into the President of the United States. As expected, the president's recent speeches had been noticeably different, leading them to the conclusion that this president was a fake. To confirm their suspicions, Johnson and his team devised a clever plan. Mia, dressed in a red outfit, disguised herself as a VIP and infiltrated the president's birthday party. Using her charm, Mia successfully captured Andy's attention. While dancing together, Mia took the opportunity to snatch a strand of Andy's hair. The next step was to verify the president's hair. The results confirmed their suspicions that the current president of the United States was actually Andy in disguise. Upon learning this, Johnson became furious and swore to send Andy to meet God. However, Andy's subordinate, Tae-ji, discovered Johnson's plan and launched an attack on him, forcing Johnson to temporarily abandon his revenge plan. Meanwhile, in order to capture Andy's henchman Tae-ji, Roman and Mia finally located Tae-ji's hiding place. Much to their surprise, Tae-ji was hiding on the edge of a cliff that was over 10,000 meters high. Nevertheless, they swiftly reached Tae-ji's hideout and a fierce struggle ensued between the two sides. After 800 rounds of intense combat, Roman and his team successfully apprehended Teiji and brought him to justice. They soon brought Teiji back to a safe house and interrogated him about his motives. But Teiji seemed completely oblivious. Consequently, a fight erupted once again between the two sides. Through the fierce confrontation, they realized that the current Teiji was different from the previous one. After careful analysis, they uncovered the truth that the previous Teiji was also a decoy planted by Andy. With the truth laid bare, Teiji decided to assist Roman and his team in their mission to send Andy to meet God. With this new addition of a strong member, the team's lineup became even more formidable than before. They then began to devise a strategy for counterattack and soon joined forces with Johnson. They also enlisted the help of a 5-star general to strengthen their offensive. With the general's knowledge of the situation, he agreed to collaborate in taking down Andy. They then proceeded to the general's arsenal, where they had access to a substantial amount of firepower and manpower. With a robust support system in place, they began to devise a plan of action. After careful deliberation, they decided to execute the plan separately. The following day, the fake president, Andy, began his discussions at the United Nations conference. However, Teiji launched an attack as soon as Andy started capturing other country leaders. Subsequently, Roman joined the fight with a gun in hand. Realizing the grim situation, the doctor immediately grabbed his briefcase and fled the scene. With the combined efforts of Roman and Teiji, all of Andy's henchmen were swiftly neutralized. Teiji then caught up with Andy, who was attempting to escape. However, after some verbal deception, Teiji used a knife to successfully send Andy to meet his maker. Meanwhile, on the other side, Johnson intercepted Andy's henchmen, as the tungsten nuclear missiles in the Earth's atmosphere were still active, and the only solution was to seize and destroy the box in the enemy's possession. In a grueling fight lasting 800 rounds, Johnson ultimately used his fists to subdue the armed opponent and seized the box, thus saving the world. Johnson promptly destroyed the self-destruct system of the tungsten nuclear missile, averting the nuclear explosion crisis. Peace was restored to the world once again.